welcome back to Ashen Trials Week 7 group stage match. Today we have Arcadia versus Incured. This is a big match for Incured because with a win they have the potential to qualify for the next stage. My favorite killer, or at least one of my favorite killers, Deathslinger, playing today. My name is Emerald. I'm of course joined by Amy. Are you excited for this match?
Hello, Emerald. It's very good to cast with you on this morning. And yes, I'm quite excited. There's been a lot of really good group stage games that have been happening lately. I got to cast a very, very exciting one yesterday as well. So, of course, I'm going to be looking forward to some more group stage matches. And with a more traditional build of Eruption, Painres, Agitation, and Corrupt, we're going to be seeing some pretty standard Deathslinger gameplay. But what you don't usually see standard is that shot on the window. That was very, very clean.
Very, very clean indeed. Would love to see the Deathslinger plays. Busting out the bloody weapon here, just showing a little bit of experience there with the skin potentially. Going to be taking our first chase down in Shack. We have a lot of gen progress. It seems that Hendrix and Ryo might be doubling a generator perhaps. This is, however, not the corrupt area, so it should be an interesting place to take the chase here. I believe they may have a 3 or 4 gen up top, which is why we're going to see the chase down here. It looks like a 4 gen, but we do see the down come in, unfortunately, after the first gen, which definitely seemed to be doubled, comes out, but we might get a pain res to stop that second. And we have a hill hook, which is fantastic for the Deathslinger.
Getting a death hook, I want to say hill hook this early in the game is a little rough, especially because we definitely do want to protect these gens though, where we got the hook already. So the fact that our Incured killer is already starting off really, really strong, I think is a really good sign for them going into the group stage 7. We're going to be probably just rotating around and seeing if anybody's going for a pull. I'm going to assume they haven't made any bottom rotations. I know I can check here on my cam. Unfortunately, we do only have the Tori trying to make the bottom rotation. But I think in this scenario, survivors should probably just like do gen prog, because yeah, I was gonna say there's no way that our Deathslinger is gonna miss a rotation from here, and going down in this area is really, really bad. If they get the shot right here, yeah, I mean, good on the Tori for not taking the risk. If we just get like even an injury or a down in the same area as where we already have hooked, it would not be that great. And I'm not really sure if a 1-for-1 here is really worth it, since we can get an immediate PR and the Tori's still in a bad spot. So
Yeah, and I'm also interested why the Slinger went for the M2 there on the original hit, because I think if they went for the M1, it's possible that they could have gotten another down without this hook coming through, without the unhook coming through there, which would have been really detrimental to the survivors. But luckily for them, that is not the case. We have I'm going to say the ace here, chasing on 3, trying to delay the tunnel out as much as possible. That was a good point that you mentioned about the pain res potential, but the killer deciding not to go for the hook. Oh! I'm not sure what happened there.
I like to imagine if if the player was on controller and maybe their controller got disconnected. I've seen that happen quite a bit, even in the comp setting when I've been in scrims. So maybe something on their end went wrong. Their character's still in the game, so I thought it was like a DC or disconnect. I think literally got there and their controls must have just gone out, which is really unfortunate. They were doing a really, really good job on the Ormond tiles. So we are back though. I mean, clearly they're moving again with joy, but they were probably gonna make that window, and so like now having another down for the Deathslinger is really, really good. And they're doing good gen progress either way. So I think even if the chase is slightly longer now, or slightly shorter, I want to say, I think they'll still be okay.
Yeah, it looks like it. Gonna say it's still a decent tunnel out though here for the Deathslinger at 2 gens, potentially 1 if the survivors have a little bit more progress. The survivors doing a really good job at coming in for the hits, and we're gonna see the chase going up to the top side as there is likely somebody, potentially the Tori, because they got healed, working one of those bottom gens, maybe the 5 gen particularly here. And even though with the tunnel out coming in at 2 gens, still pretty good if it were to come in, if it were to come through. We also don't have any other hooks on anyone else, and as previously mentioned, there could have been a hook there on the Tori because they got the free down, but opted not to go for it. We are going to get another pain res here, but we do see the reset come in on the ace, which means the tunnel out has been denied, and the split is already looking phenomenal for the survivors. So realistically, the Deathslinger can't really protect this hook without losing more generators.
I definitely want to give a shout out to the Arcadia survivors for taking a very, very excellent hit, right? Up to this side of the map earlier. They were kind of. I think a lot of teams, we've been seeing a lot in the group stages as well, where sometimes teams will attempt to make that body block, and then unfortunately they don't get it off due to maybe like mispositioning or miscomming. But I think the Arcadia survivors did such a fantastic job, like calming exactly where they needed to be able to make it somewhere safe. And with like a fully healthy fourth survivor, even on Death Hook, this is now really, really rough for the Deathslinger. You can no longer pressure consistently with 4 survivors on the map. And like you mentioned, Emerald, I mean, our gen split is fantastic. There's no way that our Deathslinger at this point can protect all the gens, or 4K is basically out of the picture unless the survivors make a massive mistake, which by the way they've been playing, I really doubt it. So I think our Deathslinger is just going to be looking for stages at this point.
Definitely. And I do want to pinpoint the agitation pick here. It's a very common pick on the Deathslinger on this set, but I honestly don't know if it's entirely necessary, and I don't feel like it's gotten a lot of value here in this game. I'm personally not a huge fan of the pick, and I think that there could have been something a little bit more slow down oriented, maybe a pop, maybe even a machine learning, perhaps, if that's sometimes that's banned, but sometimes it's not. I just think that yeah, it's common, but it's not getting a ton of value here because of our actually our RNG is not too bad for the Deathslinger this time around, and the score chips have been pretty close. But we do see another generator pop, and right now it's definitely looking like stages for the Arcadia survivors here, which is a great performance from them. Our Slinger kind of looking around, trying to see if there's anybody around this area, but there's a gen that's been popped there, so not sure if anyone's stealthing in that particular area. And I think if we're the Deathslinger right now, we got to find our one of our freshes and just go for that and secure at least the 6 stages, which is pretty average result here on the Slinger. Find our Tori, find our Kate.
Yeah, they're doing a really, really good job stealthing, right? And the Tori going into basement is absolutely fantastic. So if we try to go down there and waste time searching lockers, it's just such a huge time waste, even if we do end up finding the survivor. So unfortunately, we are gonna try to go basement, but yeah, I mean, assuming Tori's hiding in one of the
Oh,
I don't know if crouching in the corner was the play. I mean, we could have hidden lockers and wasted time to pop one of the gens, but now we do have a chase on the board, and there's still eruption, I think, on all of the gens. And yeah, I mean, either way, it'll be 2-tap potential. But if I go and check on how much proc we have, yeah, we most likely it's gonna be a pain res as well. Oh no,
I don't
unlucky.
get that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's really unfortunate for them for no pain res. Either way, we're gonna be taking a basement, and now I'm not sure if this is savable. Maybe with 3 healthies it is, but I mean, look how far our gates are. We have to make a miracle happen. I think the survivors are gonna be happy just sending it home.
I completely agree. I think that this is pretty much how the Deathslinger sets often go. We got a moonwalking Jake there, Ryup showing off his skills there. But yeah, this is usually how Deathslinger sets go. You know, we get a few stages and then we secure that 6 stage with the last fresh, well, not the last, but the 3rd fresh hook there. But overall, very well played from the survivors. It didn't seem like a moment, for a moment, that they were nervous. They're looking good. Good shots though from Bill as well, showing off on the Deathslinger. So we're gonna go on to our next set. We have Arcadia's Killer up on the Deathslinger. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Group Stage Week 7, the penultimate match. However, this is going to be the last match that's streamed on our channel. We have Arcadia versus Incured. The win con set by the Arcadia survivors is 6 stages, 4 fresh, or 7 stages in total. We have Winter added here on the Killer for them. Going to be looking around our corrupt area, trying to spot our first survivors out. My name is Emerald, and of course I am joined by Amy today. Amy, are we going to be finding our survivors here, or are we going to be stealthing perfectly?
That's a really good question. I was gonna say it's looking like a really good stealth, but then it's really unfortunate for the Claudette. I mean, the only reason that we even saw the Claudette in the first place, it was because of the the medkits. The killer noticed a slight like differentiating color from the medkit, and then that's why we got the found. And so it's really unfortunate for them. They just happened to be holding like a bright red colorful box, you know. Um, we are, I think, really good decision though to follow the fresh scratch marks down to this part of the map, because we might be able to. I feel like this is a better area for chasing survivors rather than topside. You have like so much on topside, whereas on like kind of bot, there's not nearly as much that you can run to. Like yeah, Shack is like decent, but against Slinger, it's really not as good as it is for many other characters. Arnia is deciding to take a top, probably gets calmed by the team. We're deciding to leave it. Okay. Now I'm not sure how much I like this leaving. We're playing for stages, sure, so we don't need to go for like some crazy 4K results. But I mean, the survivors, no matter what hit they take, are gonna send it top if they're getting comms top, right? Like, and we need to commit someone as fast as possible and get it down as fast as possible. If we just keep trying to get someone in bot area, it won't really work out. I was gonna say, I'm actually surprised we're setting it top with gens that are open, but not necessarily a bad call.
Yeah, I think it's just because that main building, I mean, we do see, unfortunately, there was a bit of a slow rotation there from Bill, unfortunately, so we did get the hit. But usually, most of the time, the main building is extremely difficult for Deathslinger just because of how slow the character is, but I'm completely being proven wrong in this particular chase just because we do get a pretty fast down here onto Bill, our Claudette, and we're going to get a pain res. But yeah, definitely want to commit to something at this point because the survivors, if we don't, we're just going to keep resetting, and we do see that come in from the north, which was the previous injure. But good on Winter Edit here to get the down on to Bill and the first hook. We're going to be looking around here. I think we still do have a couple, if not 3 generators up here on this top side. So if we really wanted to, with such an early hook, we can kind of just camp this, right? We can kind of just stop the rotation. The survivors have to play really careful here and make sure that they can cross without being spotted, or just crank gens. Because the Slinger, what they might do here is just try and stop that rotation to the top side of the map.
Yeah, what I really did like from the Deathslinger chase is the fact that we were very patient with the shot. You know, like they reloaded at a really good time. I think a lot of Deathslingers, because they don't necessarily sometimes play the character like outside of Prac. They don't realize that the best time to reload is once you have the survivor already at a tile, right? They cannot really do anything, and we're sending Nia alone to try and get this. But if we shoot the shot, they cannot get the hook. If we do manage to shoot it, but we're also going for the body block. I think the body block worked. Yes, it did. Oh no, that's not great. Yeah, against Deathslinger, you cannot one for one if the Deathslinger uses the gun correctly. And I'm absolutely loving what I'm seeing from Winter, like just being able to like use the gun in very smart ways that we should be using it for. I was gonna mention earlier before that the body block came through. That we're reloading at tiles where we already have the survivor cornered, and that's really good instead of reloading just immediately after the shot, especially in chase. But now Winter could just kind of stick it up here and like not really have to commit to anyone too hard, since this is most likely going to be a death on the hook if we don't send two people in or do a big trade.
Yeah, definitely. And we see the main building there going a little bit rough there for the Slinger, but at this point, this is where you want the chase to be if you are the Slinger. We probably will get the 1-for-1 here. I imagine that it's going to get off in time, but nonetheless, going to get the down, potentially go for the pain res here. But once again, we're opting not to do that. We want our tunnel out. And despite everything going down, we're getting the tunnel out at exactly the same point as the previous trial. So still great on the survivors to keep the dream alive here. We're going to be down to 2 gens on their side here, and delaying the tunnel out as much as possible here. Gonna see a body block come in. This is almost exactly the same set that we're seeing here. Very typical Slinger plays from both sides.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. That means so far we only still have two two hooks total and then one fresh. We need at least four more to be able to tie it, and then we need at least five to be able to actually win the set. So it's definitely not over, and we still have a lot of opportunities for it. Little bit of a, a late swing, but we are going to still commit the ace on top here. Hopefully we'll be able to get it down. What we really need to see is a down come through ASAP with the stages that we need. But Ace is doing such a fantastic job wasting as much time on main and really showcasing how long you can waste the killer's time on a tile such as this.
Definitely, it's really rough for the slinger. Really, really rough for the slinger. We're probably gonna see the Oh, the head-on play. Very, very good coordination there from the Salty there to get into that locker. And we also see the Firecracker come out here. We've got a lot of pressure on the killer, opting to still continue for that ace, wanting to get that down on an already injured survivor. A little hesitant on the gun though, unfortunately here. Gonna take our chase edge as much as possible just to see if we can get some generator progress on the other side of the map. But we are gonna get our third stage here and our second fresh, although our pain reses are a little bit awkward here, so unfortunately we may not get the pain res even with the Agi. Once again we see the Agi, very, very common pick, but even with the Agi here, we're not going to get a pain res token used. So that is definitely unfortunate for the slinger player here, and I'm assuming that the survivors are out there cranking those generators.
Oh, for sure. I think what I saw from them is they're also splitting, and ooh, Nia doing their best to try and stealth, and unfortunately it does not work out. Beautiful shot from the Deathslinger. We can just keep them here, use our cigar to be able to down them extremely quickly, reloading immediately after. This is most likely going to be a down if we play correctly in zone, but no, we were just slightly off with the gun, and that's really, really unlucky. And I think our survivors managed to break the 3-gen actually. That's really, really good for them, and they, oh, beautiful gen prog, immediate unhook. Oh, this is looking really, really stressful for the Deathslinger. I mean, if we're on a fresh, right?
Yeah, this is the Tycon right here, Nia.
Oh, okay, so we're deciding to just, yeah, full commit Nia. Very, very smart. If we manage to get all 3 stages off the Nia, right, assuming that nobody goes in for safe, it can still be tie, but the survivors have a perfect opportunity to play correctly. And of course, our Claudette player probably also knows if they're the ones that go down, it's also great for them because it'll just be an extra stage instead of a bunch of stages. So we're all heading for the gate. Does it have any prog? It does. Okay, now it is all left for these survivors, and oh no!
Oh, what a shot! But
Emerald,
does he get it?
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Oh, he does. Wow, fantastic shot there as well. We love the nail biters here. The survivors are staying in the trial because they know that if all these stages get hooked up there, that it's going to be the tie and it's not going to be the win for them. We're going to try, I think, attempt a basement hook here with 3 injured survivors and the endgame collapse going down. It's going to be very, very difficult to get that on hook here, and we do, in fact, get it. Oh, we're coming to the back hook. I wonder how close it was there on the Tori's screen, but now we could just kind of sit here. Or we could attempt to try and play for the Nia here, but that's likely a little greedy, and I doubt that the Deathslinger is going to go for that there. But fantastic shot, getting the hits when it counted here. We're going to attempt to maybe force Ace out. I'm not sure why Ace is all the way over here. Maybe didn't want to be part of the reset just to get those stages out, but if they stealth, there would be no opportunity to push them out. And like we said in the previous trial, that basement hook on hook specifically is a little bit easier with 3 people.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think what they're thinking, right, is they might have not wanted to take the risk of stealthing since it might have given the win to the Deathslinger. So I think that was going through their mind, right? They were just like maybe valuing the risk in their head. They're like, if I get found here, injured, like, I don't know, edge map or something, I might like just sell the game, you know what I mean? So maybe they were just trying to be wary of that. But I think our survivors are not gonna go for it, yeah. But oh, we cannot allow ourselves to get hit with the harpoon gun. I think we still can go for a body block, and maybe this is full out. Yeah, unfortunately for Destinger, missing the shots. Is this? I believe this will be
That
now.
that is a tie.
Oh wow, that is very very interesting. We don't usually see ties in that manner, but really well done from both sides. It was a very tight knit game. So we will be right back to our next set.
Welcome back to Ashen Trials Week 7 penultimate match. However, it is the last match that is streamed on the channel. We have Incured versus Arcadia. The first set was a great display from both teams. We saw a tie on Desslinger with 6 stages, 3 fresh. Now we have Arcadia on the killer winter for them, playing the Dredge. We have a very impressive build, not too atypical that we see in comp here from Winter. We got Ruin, Pain, Res, Eruption just to get those generators down. My name is Emerald, and I am joined by Amy. Amy, we have a very exciting set ahead of us. Dredge, not the most strongest killer in general, but in comp with just how little the survivors are allowed, we often see some 4Ks. So do you think we're going to be seeing a 4K here from this Dredge?
It is very likely, Emerald. I like that you mentioned that in the regular mode, right? This killer does not have like that crazy of a power, but in comp specifically, I always love to point out that it is Dredge that actually has the highest kill rate out of all killers in the game for comp specifically. And I think it just comes down to the fact that he's literally played on his best map, right? He's already on Midwich, which is, one, his strongest map. Two, this map requires so much good coordination from the survivors to play actually efficiently. And three, you really need strong chases. So your survivors really need to be able to understand exactly how to play ones correctly, because this is essentially just a ones character, and with tiles that are very punishing if you die at the bad spots. And a good Dredge can really understand where the rotations are going to come through and really punish survivors super hard on this set for mistakes. So I think that's why the killer has like such a high kill rate on this set. It just mainly comes down to the fact there's so many variables that the survivors have to play correctly more than the Dredge has to play correctly. So, and of course, indoor sets are always kind of difficult for comp players with newer teams or even mid-level teams. So Dredge is just one of those other cases. But either way, we're going for an immediate unhook, and we're gonna just try to wait out the endurance as best as possible.
Definitely, we see Nightfall coming in. We have a lot of injuries. We do see the body block come in there just because it likely means that the survivor was out of endurance, and I believe that is in fact the case here. But we are taking the chase onto Tori, and oh, unfortunate hit through the window. Didn't quite get the medium vault back in time. Going to potentially check our generators or potentially check our totem here, but we do see the generator pop there. There's going to be our first generator, but the Dredge has got a lot of pressure here on the survivors. We've got 3 injuries and 2 downs in general here, and we've got our tunnel out cooking already.
Oh yeah,
and we're going to get that pain res, yeah.
for sure. I think it's actually really, really rough, right? Like, this is an incredibly early death hook survivor already, and it's what I meant by like the Tori just made like 2 mistakes in chase, right? Just very 2 small mistakes in chase, and they got super hard punished for it by like our Dredge player going to the correct lockers. And I think that's one of those things that sometimes survivors can't forget. We've been seeing it a bit more in this match, but if you're ever in an area, it's just a good idea to generally lock the lockers in case your death hook survivor ever goes there, to try and like last as long as possible. Having those lockers locked is very, very nice.
Yeah, and I love that the Dredge player, yep, here we see it, already thinking about where that survivor is coming from as we last saw them, stopping the rotation, at least without getting, without a healthy survivor going to injure the Nia there. Really, really great game sense. And as we see here, the Dredge now has the option to sort of move around the map, and likely whatever chase he takes, he's going to go for the tunnel out. But if that were not the case, he could likely end those chases fast due to the injuries. It's just really, really great game sense here from Winter Edit. And we see that a lot of the survivors are just doing nothing right now. Which is the worst thing you can do on the survivor side, is have literally nothing active other than, you know, running around the map or chasing or trying to get reset. And we see 0 progress coming in from the survivors on the generators doing that, and now the dredge is in absolute complete control of the match here.
It might be a spectator bug, I think, maybe, but it is still 50-50, and really well done by Tori to just play this as best as possible. And yeah, I mean that's really unfortunate that we do manage to lose them, and that's a death hook already at 4 gens. I don't think anything else is being progged. Dang, there really is. You actually made an excellent call out. Nothing is being progged right now, and having a death already at this many gens, basically, in my opinion, guarantees now with a killer's strongest dredge on Midwich that it most likely will be a 4K. It's just now, what 4K are we playing for?
Definitely, I agree. I think it could be a 4K2 even potentially, because we find the injured survivor, which is exactly the chase of exactly the survivor that we want to find here from the dredge, and we do lose the pallet here, which means it's going to be a 50-50, and we're going to go for the. We don't have the vault here. I think we still do have the pallet here. I believe, no, we do not. We do not have the pallet. My mistake. So we're definitely going to see it down there. And as we mentioned, there's really not enough progress. Oh, that is in fact a spectator bug there, I believe. So we do have a little bit of progress here on the generators, but definitely not too much. And we're going to see a pain res come in here. And definitely Dredge still sitting in the spot that he wants. Really great game sense. Knows exactly which generators the survivors are going to be working here. Going to take the chase and continue with the game plan that they're going for right here, going very smoothly. You can see a TP back here.
For sure. I think our Dredge player is kind of thinking of the game state right now, right? Like, what can we possibly do to keep the pressure up? We do get an injury on the board, and there's a bunch of gens in this area, so I think Winter is just very happy to just hard commit this. Even if our other survivors were splitting, and I like that you mentioned it probably could be a 4K2. If the downs are fast, then yeah, I think absolutely we could see that. Maybe even a 4K3. I'm not even gonna lie. It just depends on our chases. Our chases have to be like as long as possible. So Winter is trying to mind game with the power, but it perfectly showcasing how you're supposed to play. You know, you yes, it is 50s, but there's certain ways you can path against Dredge that make it way more likely that you actually live that.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly the chase that we want from Claudette to get us back in the game if we're rooting for Incured here. Slow down the game here, I think, is what the survivors really need to do. Potentially get a reset on Claude. However, the thing is that Ruin is really going to be detrimental now in the 3v1, because we're often going to have one survivor on the hook, one getting the unhook, and then one in chase. So that generated progress is going to eat and eat. However, guess what? We've cleansed Ruin, so that's a really great job from the survivors to get that out of the way for the 3v1, especially just because of that potential, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep that progress on the generators. However, the dredge does have a very good setup here on this side of the map. So definitely gonna be looking to control that, I believe.
I really like the game sense coming in from Winter. Oh no! We do manage to get the last kind of like pixel of the hit, and this is actually a really rough spot, but really good job on the ace to just leave, and that's exactly why locking lockers as a team is really important. 1000% our ace would have died without that. And I actually really like the pathing from ace either way. Like, this is exactly how you should be playing kind of 1 and 2 on this map from both top and bottom side. And he's deciding to vault in. Unfortunately, does lose the 50 once again. Dredge playing absolutely beautifully. Also, beautiful slug to stop this gen from progressing. We're just going to check on the highest progress gens. And yeah, our survivors cannot really do much. They don't have many resources left, and they're kind of forced to play anything that they have. Unfortunately, our Nia has nothing, and that means we are going to go down. And most likely, maybe we can go for a slug. Our killer's playing it safe and just hooking, so it's all good.
Fair enough. Getting the pain res stop with the gen's not a bad play by any means necessary, and I do not mean the perk in Dead by Daylight. But if the Claude is not careful here, leaving some scratch marks, we're in Nightfall, I believe, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, I believe we are in Nightfall. So we're gonna get the Killer Instinct. So it looks like even if the trade comes through, it's just gonna be delaying the inevitable. It looks like we're not only getting a 4K3, no, we're getting a 4K4 potentially.
Wow, I mean, if we do see a 4K4 come through, that might have been one of the meatiest games I've seen in a hot minute. Again, I'm quite pleasantly surprised by Winter's performance, doing such a fantastic job with game sense, with chases, with pressuring. And oh no! Okay, we could have baited a little bit earlier, right? I think. Oh no! We managed to find the Claudette out, going for the save. And Emerald, this is looking like it's over.
It is looking over right now, unfortunately, for the serves. I think there may have been a miscommunication, or, I mean, on their defense, it's a very intense moment. The game's looking pretty rough for you guys on that side, so you got to just go for the play, and, you got to commend them for thinking smart there at every step of the way. Okay, look, we got two people in the room here. We've got the dredge sort of holding the exit. What can we do? Okay, let's hop in a locker and, try to waste time and see if we can get a sneaky escape. But like we've been saying this whole time, Winter is just ahead of the game. Really, really great game sense. Knows exactly what the survivors are going to do at every turn. Even we saw that chase on Nia. He positioned himself. He blocked the pallet. Just those little decisions from time to time, right in the heat of the moment, just really got them the win here. As long as along with that game sense and really, really phenomenal setup here for the survivors of Arcadia. All they've got to do is pop 2 gens.
Yes, and we'll be right back to see if they meet it.
Dredge slowly rose into the screen on our spectator POV. That was quite comedic. We've got Bill here on the killer for Incured. The Arcadia survivors have to pop 2 generators in order to get the win here on this set. So not very steep for the survivors, however, very, very difficult for the killer. Gonna have to attempt some pretty crazy plays here. We do get our injury onto Hendrix here on our first chase, finding the survivors relatively early on. We have a little bit more protection on our build this time around for the dredge. We do see Undying to protect that ruin just to get that generator progress regressed. My name is Emerald, and I am joined by Amy. Amy, what a performance in the first match from Winter Edit. What do you think we're going to see here in this one?
What I think we're gonna see is our survivors play safe as possible, right? They're gonna like literally drop everything and not take any risks, because if they just pop 2 gens, they win. So in a set where your win con is absolutely fantastic, the best play is just play as safe as possible. Don't take risks, because even if you literally drop every single pallet in existence and then you lose all the pallets or something, like let's say I don't know, the entity munches on all the pallets because of the win con, it doesn't matter. You just need to last even slightly longer. And ooh, I really like that ace going directly into Dredge's power. Really, really well done. And playing 50s once again. This ace really, really, really nice pathing. I swear, both aces today have been really, really good on their pathing. So it is a survivor that's commonly known for that. We are going to try and play 50s again. Super patient. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, the patience did not pay off. But I believe our survivors are probably going to be split on multiple gens. We're doubling one, and yeah, we're split on another. So already, if they pop this, they're like 1 gen away from their win con. This is already tied.
Yeah, it's such a difficult win con for the dredge because it's like, can you even pick up the survivor? Because yeah, you get the pain res, but if you don't have the pain res there, you lose, right? So it's very dependent on where those hooks are. But this is very, very big for Incured, or sorry, for the Arcadia survivors here.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of progress on 1 generator, and we see the first generator pop. We're going to be looking around for our next survivor here. Survivors stealthing it out. We are very, very close to nightfall. This is the last nightfall that the dredge must take advantage of here in order not to lose the set. We do find the generator with a lot of progress. I believe the K was working that one. That's what we sort of switched to on the POV there. But opting not to go for the fresh hook, wants to tunnel out, wants to secure that 3v1 potentially, or at least to get some injuries on the board and spread the pressure, because that's what we really need to do as the killer here. We need to just get a bunch of injuries and get the survivors panicking, but that doesn't seem that is going to be the case with the stun there onto the dredge.
And it was also smash hit. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Literally, if all the survivors could have gotten stunned by him, that's the most difficult one. And I like how you mentioned, Emerald, like, what can our killer do that doesn't waste time? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, can we even pick up the survivor? Like absolutely. Like, if we pick him up, we waste a lot of time just hooking, even with a PR. But I mean, if Chase is chases are also going to be a decent while, and literally doing any actions when your win con is this is going to take a hot minute for the prog, because survivors are just going to be on the gens. So, unfortunately, that is a loss.
Yeah, I mean, to the Dredge, to Bill's credit here, I mean, it's a very almost nearly impossible win con there, and as we saw with the Nia, he couldn't even pick them up. Um, but yeah, that's going to be the win for Arcadia here on this particular Dredge set here, and now we're just going to play for our best result here. We're going to be taking the chase onto Ace, who had a phenomenal first chase. Healed up here. Is the tunnel out, but unfortunately has been healed for the Dredge. We do see the pick go on to the Nia there. So all survivors are back up and running. And, you know, we did mention that the resources are going to be thrown as much as possible to get those first 2 gens. But even though that is the case, we still have a lot of resources left here on the map. So survivors definitely going to be taking as much advantage of that as possible here, including the God Palette.
Yeah, our Dredge player mainly just going for chases, right? I mean, I don't think we have to. Yeah, they're just going for chases. I mean, we obviously know that the win con was already met, so we don't really care about pressuring gens as much probably anymore. We're just happy, you know, getting some nice ones practice, and I kind of like that attitude, you know. Like I think being able to still practice chases even after a loss is still pretty nice, and I guess that's what we're doing.
No privacy for the A's.
No bathroom breaks, bro. We're on the clock, man.
Yeah, we are. Come on, dude. You're supposed to be surviving here. You were supposed to use the bathroom before, you know. That's what all the teachers used to say before class started. You're supposed to go to the bathroom during the break. Why are you going to the bathroom now? It's like, well, I didn't have to go to the bathroom, and that's exactly what Ace is saying right now. He's saying I need to go right now. Unfortunately, in the middle of the chase, being hunted by a creature of unknown proportions. But we're gonna see the chase onto Ryob here. We had a great first set, so likely feeling pretty confident. Also another healthy survivor, and we do see the reset come in relatively fast, so all that pressure, unfortunately, is gone for the Dredge here with a little bit of resources still left. I have to say, though, despite the survivors showing phenomenal effort here, the Dredge, Bill does have a very good grasp at using the Remnant and using the power here, as we've seen in this particular trial.
Oh yeah, for sure. I really have to wonder, right, if the win con wasn't so steep, what would have been the, I guess I want to say like normal result, you know what I mean? If they actually had a plausible win con that they could go for.
Yeah, definitely.
We're still seeing the Kate here in chase with the flashlight. Unfortunately, not being able to get use out of it since we're just playing safe, which is understandable. Another gen pops on the board. Most likely, our survivors are also splitting. Ooh, beautiful showcase of the 50s on that tile, which is actually not like safe against Dredge. We're going for the slug to try and get a snowball, but I think the pallets. I don't remember if the pallet is still down there.
I believe it was thrown. I'm not sure if it was kicked, but I do know that it was thrown. Going to get our hit onto Ace here, which is our tunnel out survivor. So we are very, very close. We're imminent on the 3v1. However, we have the beautiful double pallet here on the Dredge. Has to be careful not to be blocked into the house. The Ace has to build a house here. Although, as a gambler, we're not sure that he has the funds to build a house, and unfortunately is unable to throw the pallet down and is likely going to get the death here. And I'm wondering if the flashlight play was the correct move there, because it seemed as though the K was close enough to get the pallet stun, but opted instead for the flashlight save.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they probably didn't want to take the risk of going down, but I was gonna say with the win con already met, like I think it would be fine either way. That is a death at 2 gens, which for a Dredge set is usually standard. But what? Oh, okay. She went for the slow vault. I was like, I didn't hear the sounds.
We also saw, if I wasn't mistaken, was that not any means necessary? Yes, it was. Wow, in the middle of the chase.
Yeah, we wanted to get a little exercise in the middle of the chase. You know, we're working our legs all the time, like getting looped, but not as much exercise on the arms. But to be fair, I'm pretty sure like throwing down a pallet is probably pretty heavy, no?
Probably. But you know what? Not a bad idea to get a few reps of pallet rising there.
Still committing to the ace. Well, not the ace, but the Jake. Slip of the tongue. Our killer deciding to maybe try and find the reset. And we do manage to actually find it. Good game sense. We're just gonna go for the Kate, and that looked like a little bit of a funky hit. But it does still connect because this game's hitboxes are very good. Very good on the survivors, by the way, for locking the lockers. Again, I will always mention that because a lot of surprisingly, a lot of, I want to say, like, sometimes teams starting out don't lock the lockers naturally. So it gives the Dredge a lot of snowball potential very, very easily on a set like this. And I think being able to comms where the lockers are locked as well is really, really good. And a nice skill set to learn. So I actually think this tile is probably better than most against Dredge. And I think our Jake is playing it pretty well.
Yeah, definitely, because you have those line of sight blockers, and as we've mentioned previously in this particular trial, really, really great patience from the survivors. They're not throwing the pallet too early, because against Dredge, if you throw that pallet, then they've got pallet control, and they're just going to place that remnant, doing a really great job to stay level-headed. However, we do find the Kate who is injured, and of course, as I say that, we're throwing the pallet instantly, but we do, in fact, get the stun, which is exactly what we need on that particular room, just because that room is very hard to get out of if we don't get a stun or we don't throw the pallet on the right side. We do see the pickup onto the Nia survivors, not letting this slug out happen just yet. We could see a locker pick here, and oh, attempting a little bit of a mind game there, the Dredge player, trying to see if the Nia was going to hop out of the locker prematurely, but that is not the case. Wasting the killer's time with a force grab here, having to drop them down, and we're gonna likely teleport right back to the bathroom, where it seems that no survivor is allowed to just, you know, enjoy their time in the bathroom today in this trial, Amy.
True. I think they've been getting a lot of reports of some shady stuff going on in there, so I think our Dredge is coming back to police it. Still, we decide to get the pickup. Either way, most likely this game is just over, no matter what. Yeah, I mean, like, with the slugs that we have in hand, the pressure is so high that, yeah, most likely we won't be able to come back from this. But it's all good. We already met our win count, so the survivors are more than happy to end this game. Jake, once again in this bathroom. I think we've seen this 8 tile, like, the most amount of times I've literally ever seen in a set.
Seriously. It is remarkable, especially because without a pallet, the tile is almost all but dead, and we've seen a couple of resets happen there. So, very, very interesting choice. It's even it could be like one of those psychological operation like misplays. Like no way someone would be healing there because it's so dead. But so the killer won't think to look there. But that is in fact where they've been healing. We do get the unhook coming in here. Great job from Ryob stealthing and going for the unhook, but unfortunately, like you said, it's likely just going to delay the inevitable. But the trial still remains, it still continues on. And we've got a few resources here. Ryob using that pallet the best of their ability. We still have this pallet in here, playing the 50-50, winning the 50-50. Going back into the tile, what we're going to see, and we're going to see the drop, which... And the slow vault! Absolute confidence from the Jake there. Listen, I'm gonna vault right into the Dredge. I don't care. I'm not afraid.
I was gonna say, that's kind of funny, because our killer player was just like, oh, yo. Alright, well, thankfully for our Dredge, they have headphones, so they were able to hear the Nia crying in the little corner. And like you mentioned, it's the inevitable. We knew this would be 4K once the 2 slugs came in, no matter what. And that is going to be a 4K one, even though we already met our win con. It's still nice to see it happen on the big screen. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's, I would like to know, again, which team secured this one.
I believe that was Arcadia with the win here on Survivor and for this set. Which means that we are going into the tiebreaker set, which is the unknown. As an unknown man myself, I'm particularly very excited to see what we have in store. You know, Unknown's recently gotten that little buff, which is nothing crazy, but definitely allows for a bit more smoother gameplay and makes the killer a little bit stronger. So very excited to see that come through here. And yeah, like we said, it's going to be the set for Arcadia taking the win here on the Dredge. And we will be back shortly. I don't know if there's any closing remarks for you, Amy.
I would definitely like to say, yeah, unknown sets are quite exciting because if it's, I will always, there's skill expression on both sides to be played out. That's my favorite part of unknown sets. So we're gonna see it coming right up after a little short break.
Ashen Trials Week 7 group stage match between Arcadia and Incured. Arcadia took the second set, which means they are up 1-0 up against Incured. We have Incured's killer Bill here on the unknown. My name is Emerald. I'm joined by Amy. Amy, we have a little bit of a cook session going on here with the Unknown's build. Mostly traditional regression perks, but there is one perk in particular that we see here, which is a very interesting choice. Are you aware of which perk I'm talking about?
I believe you are referring to batteries included.
Yes, I am indeed.
Very fair enough. I think recently it's actually been I've seen it picked a lot in recent events. It's been fascinating to me with slowly watching batteries grow from like a perk that's mainly chosen for certain scenarios, right? Like that you want to guarantee chases on, or you might not get that many downs, to a perk that is semi like consistently picked now on a bunch of different killers. I think it's kind of cool to see a perk like batteries slowly get popularity over time. And I think the add-on choice here is also pretty interesting. And we are seeing, I believe that is the footprint cast that reduces the spawn timer of the hallucination by 15 seconds. So it's usually a very good perk. And the other interesting one that I'm seeing is, I believe that is the slash backpack. It causes the hallucination to disintegrate in the area. So not really one that you see really picked, but I think it's pretty cool to see add-on variety sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. It always sort of depends on the what's allowed in the rule set for sure. You definitely sometimes see the hypnosis watch and sometimes the unidentified object as well. Sometimes as well. But I totally agree. It's nice to see a little bit of difference here on the unknown. We do see our first two generators pop here, which is pretty typical of the unknown's first chase. You know, the unknown is. We know the name that the unknown gets throughout the community. We don't have to say it, but we know. And that is because the unknown is very much not a very strong killer. So you kind of expect to see at least one gen, sometimes two pop. Even if you're playing the unknown, I don't think that that's something to be discouraged by, especially when you've got such a great hook here on this hill gen at one that build does have. And this is one of those hooks that you can really protect quite easily. However, with the amount of generators that they've lost now, I'm not so sure that protecting it is the play here, because a lot of great survivors are going to know how to get to this unhook without without a death. Sorry, without what? Um, I guess I stand corrected here. I've caster cursed them a little bit here. I believe there may have just been a miscommunication or perhaps a mistiming there from Winter to get the unhook. I think they were trying to go last second, but unfortunately for them, the unknown does get the second stage going in here. I guess it sort of worked out for them in the end, but the survivors definitely could have been cranking there, and if that were the case, then the unknown would be in a really rough position. However, that's not the case.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Kate gets another pick on the board, and that's going to be another hook for our PR. So really well done by our unknown player. I was gonna say, like I saw earlier with Kate trying to get the unhook. I'm just so curious if that was legitimately a body block or not. It seemed like you could have just gone for it raw. Maybe they didn't want a 1-for-1, and maybe they wanted to trick the killer into hitting the hook. Maybe it could have been a body block. I mean, the hitboxes in this game, sometimes it's hard to tell what is a body block, right, and what isn't. Especially if you're looking at it from the killer POV with spectator and stuff. So I'm actually like not entirely sure, but we're starting to see a little bit of snowball potential from the unknown. Beautiful UVX coming in through. So that's going to be another hook. And I mean, with how the game started out, this is actually a really good result so far, I think.
Yeah, definitely. The game seems to have turned around here for Bill. great job on getting that second hook onto Kate pretty fast. Great use of the power there. And it seems that we know at least where 3 of our survivors here at this point, so that is looking pretty good. And we're going to TP back just to potentially secure this hook, if possible. I mean, we know we might lose that gen that Ace is on there, but with the reset coming in, they could go for a double hook here, or they could just crank the gens, and if that is the case, then we're just going to want to secure the hook. But I do like this play from Bill here. I do think that right now, you're definitely probably not going to get the 4K. You're going to get stages, which is totally natural for an unknown. So just spread that UVX out there and trying to get a little bit more pressure on the map. I think it's definitely the right play.
Getting a really, really nice hit onto Jake is, that was really, really nice. Mind game there on the tile. I always say it's check spottable, but I'll tell you right now, I don't do a great job check spotting it either, so I can't blame the Jake for getting hit there. Our Ace also takes a UVX and another hit. I believe we might be able to actually get this down here on Shaq. Ooh, we're just aimed a little bit too low. That's really unfortunate that we got it off. 2 survivors death hook. I really have to wonder. I was just gonna say if we find one of the death hook survivors, it's actually gonna be a decently nice snowball. And I think our unknown player should commit this, and I'm glad they're thinking the same thing, right? We might waste a bit of more time, but we know that survivors are not too much on high prog on anything else, so.
Definitely, and like we saw a little bit with the Deathslinger set, what you can do here, right, is get this kill. And, oh, I believe that that hallucination was immediately dispelled just as the unknown teleported to the Kate, so we're not going to get the weekend on them, unfortunately. But like we were doing a little bit earlier, we're just going to try and spread the damage out, kind of force the resets, force the match to slow down a little bit here for the survivors. But as I was saying, like you can kind of do with like we saw with the Deathslinger set, is you can get that kill onto Nia if we did end up committing, which we did not. But that could have been an option, and then go for one of the freshes, which is Ace or Raya up here on the Jake, and that would have been, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let me do some quick maths, 8 stages, which is quite good on the unknown.
Hey, all I'm saying is I'm glad you're doing the math, because there's a reason I don't have a good grade in those classes. But either way, either way, we are going to be seeing our unknown players still try to commit the tunnel out. I still think this is the right play. I think committing the tunnel out here is very, very good. Because I still think it might be worth it to try and get this tunnel out, even if more time is wasted. We do go for this. I'm not sure there. I think we could have guaranteed actually the down if we just used our UVX. I'm not sure what to swing for. To be fair, it might have hit. Maybe it was just auto aim. Maybe that's why it looked kind of weird when we hit the gen, so I do think it was auto aim. Did we see the 360 trick shot? No, unfortunately we don't. We're just gonna probably take a tag on Ace or a commit. I think we're just gonna take the tag, and they might just TP back to their gens. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this chase at the moment here. I think it's very difficult when you're playing killer because you're worrying about, oh, my result, and oh, my generator is like, am I going to lose if I commit this? But I think that, you know, just getting those fresh hooks is going to be very important for this killer. Oh, do we see it? No, we do not see it. Yeah, it can be very nerve-wracking, especially with multiple survivors. So they're likely not doing anything but doing gens, and we do see that. So it's not a bad play, I think, here, just because the unknown realized that, okay, I'm probably not going to get much more than this. We do have a exit gate very close, however, to the unhook, or to the hook at the moment, which can be very tricky. Likely the unknown is not the kind of killer that has the ability to pressure survivors super quickly. You know, we've got to get that UVX, then we've got to get the hit just to get the injury, right? So it's going to be slowing down time, which means that we're going to have somebody on that gate, and then we're going to have somebody unhooking, which is exactly what we see here. And unfortunately, with the unknown, it's like there's not much we can do there. And that boom, right away, we have the on weekend coming through, right? We see the Kate completely healthy, and what's really brilliant from these 2 survivors here is that we're sending in the death hook survivors. So if the unknown is to make a play to commit to either of them here, we're not losing much. We're not losing many stages at all.
Or for sure, really, really well done by our unknown player to keep as much pressure up on the board as we have right now. Another fresh would be absolutely fantastic.
Oh!
Ooh. What in the jiggy?
Very well played. Oh!
A little bit of a jump scare there.
The unknown, known for the jump scares.
It's kind of, I mean, we'll have to check how many stages that would have been, because with the DC, it was a little hard to tell.
I want to say it was 1 on Ace, 3 on Nia, 2 on Kate, which is 6, I believe, 3 fresh.
Alright. Well, we'll be right back either way after a short break.
Back to the Wrecker's Yard for potentially the final set in the group stage and the final of this particular matchup between Incured and Arcadia. We saw Bill, who was Incured's killer, get 5 stages, 3 fresh, unfortunately due to a DC. And we are going to be seeing Wintry here on the killer for Arcadia, so their win con is indeed 6 stages or 5-4. We're going to be taking our first chase here on to the Nia here around check. We already see a lot of survivors cranking those generators. My name is Emerald, and I am joined, as I have been for these past couple matches, by Amy. Amy, what are we thinking going into this second matchup here with Unknown?
I would love to say that I actually think this is a super doable win con, you know what I mean? This is 5 stages, 3 fresh. And what I love about Winter has shown off absolutely phenomenal killer gameplay, right? We saw them play super well on Dredge. I was about to say Oni. So I had a little bit of Oni in my mind, but no, we saw them play really well on the Dredge set. And it's very clear that their killer mechs are quite strong. So, but it's very doable for the survivors, since this is like the average stages for Unknown against good teams. So beautiful UVX to secure the down. Ooh, we did catch the Laura trying to be sneaky. Most likely just going to be a tag on the board. Yeah, excellent. I think excellent choice to just go for the tag, not even worry about the UVX. We want our stages as fast as possible. Oh! Yo, is that you, Michael Jordan?
Too.
Bro, prime like prime MJ, bro.
Dude, holy crap! LeBron James, Kobe, MJ, whatever it is, basketball references. Obviously, Dead by Daylight is more important than basketball. No, I'm kidding. But we do see the hook coming in, and that was in fact not pain res. We do have turn back the clock here as an option for regressing generators, but once again, a relatively similar start here from these killer here on Arcadia. We do have a little bit more weakened. We do have another injury on the board, but otherwise we do see those first 2 gens pop for the first hook, and once again that is an unknown set. Despite the result, you know, right now swerving in Arcadia's favor, I have to say that these teams are relatively even in terms of results statistically, just because we saw on the Slinger set that it was a tie. And not only was it a tie, but the sets sort of started out exactly the same, and that is similar here with the Unknown as well. We're likely going to get our down here onto the Tari, which means we're going to get a pain res.
I do also want to mention that, like, that in fact was such a, that was like a showcase of the buff, because without the buff, right, the UVX would have been over. We would have already gotten the power off. But because of the buff, we had like a little bit extra time. Like before, it would only be 1 shot missed, and you would most likely lose it. But now it's 2 shots that you can take before you lose it. So that was really cool to see, like things like that where buffs can come through and very vitally on the sets. So that's 2 stages, 2 fresh. We need 3 more for tie, or yeah, I can do my math. 3 more for tie and 4 more for the win. So extremely doable, especially because I don't think anything has high prog. I think that gen. Most likely that we just shot the UVX is the only one with decent prog. I think everything else is still getting just started.
Yeah, there was like an itsy bitsy little bit of progress on the generator at mid 10 that was turned back the clock earlier. But otherwise, yeah. that is pretty much all the progress that they have here. Unknown seeming pretty content to try and confirm the second stage. However, it looks like we're three splitting, so this very much could come back to bite them. Once again, though, that win con definitely allows for a little bit more ease when kind of playing this way and securing those stages, because now we only need two more if we're going to get Mia and Bill, or we need three in general. And we do, in fact, I believe, have Chase here onto Mia, which is the Lara. So this hook right here would be very, very crucial, especially if it is a pain res. We're going to be sitting in a really good position if we're the unknown here.
Wow, I love these shots, bro. They're really, really. I want to say Winter's super good at being able to confirm the downs when he needs to on like by bouncing the UVX in the exact manner. And so we're on our way. And oh wait, they cannot trade for this because of the stages. Oh my gosh, yeah, they cannot trade for it because of stages. So unfortunately, oh wait, we jiggied. Oh, if this is hit, this is so vital. It's still gonna be traded. It's still. Nah, we made a mistake. We actually did not manage to hit Claudette like we wanted to, and I think that could come into play if Artori's able to last. It all comes down to how long this chase is.
It does, and I also think it's a very interesting choice to go for Claudette for the pull there, because that's your last fresh, and that's, you know, a little, that would have been the win con there, because that would have been the fourth fresh. So I'm not sure if sending in Claudette was the best play. I think it's because they really wanted to get rid of that gen there at 3 that Nia had a lot of progress on, but still, nonetheless, it was certainly a risky play. Luckily for them, it worked out. Due to just some unfortunate auto aim and hitting the hook. As we know, everyone who plays killer, that happens all the time, and absolutely no fault to Winter there. But winning the 50-50, not able to throw the pallet in time, so I believe that is going to be, oh, almost a pallet save. You got to go for those risky plays when the result is so close. I do believe that is officially the tie con here, as that is the fifth stage with 3 fresh. I really hope that it doesn't come down to just one stage due to the DC. I really hope not. But likely, we've only got, we still have 2 generators up. So if we commit this chase with Bill, we should have no issue getting the win here for Winter.
I really like Winter actually checking on the UVX, right, to see if anybody's still on the gen. Since if they were, they would have been caught in a really, really bad spot. Deciding to play it safe and just kick the gen. I mean, this is still 2 gens that we have to pop, right? And with only 1 more stage needed, there is so much time for Winter to just kind of find anyone, like, especially because we've already gotten rid of most of the resources on the map. And like you said, this might actually come down to a single stage if the survivors play it well.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there we go. That is going to be the win right there. I was a little unsure of why Winter wasn't deciding to just commit that Claude at the beginning, but kind of catching her off guard there, off rotation. So that is going to in fact, be the win here for Arcadia, taking the set 2-0. I am excited, though, that we did get to see the unknown set, just because I love this killer so much.
Of course, and it's very understandable. Really, really well played by them, and that is going to be the win, yeah, for Arcadia. So really well done. I want to say I had so much fun watching the sets. I think I like the performance of both teams. And I also want to say, we're sorry for the viewers at home because I actually don't know why that's blocked. What? I was gonna say that we haven't had a chase music, like, I think in like all of the unknown sets, like both the sets, like it's been bugged, so we've just been hearing just the noises. And it would have been nice.
And we see a little moonwalking from Claudette there, knowing that the set's kind of over as well. Just kind of just having some good manners there, you know, just showing good attitude there as well. But I do think it's really unfortunate for Incured here, and the reason is because they actually had a really good shot at potentially getting into the next stage, but with a loss, it's unfortunately not going to be the case. Nonetheless, we do thank them for coming and playing in Ashen Trials, and congratulate them for their plays as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think any team who signed up for Ashen Trials had such a big to get into the group stage, you have to face a lot of competition, right? You have so many good teams in this entire league, and no matter what group stage you're in, you will have to face like literally either 2 S tier teams or a high level team. So no matter who you're playing against, getting into the group stage is incredibly difficult. And I want to give a shout out to them for making it this far. it's not an easy feat no matter what. And it means they have so much potential as a team to keep going and see what their future results can be.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Also, super, super excited for the next rounds to come in with such great teams in the group stage. And now the, knockout stage is beginning. Going to be all those great teams going up against each other, which is just super, super exciting to see. But yeah, as you said, I completely agree that we are confident that every team that here that's played in this tournament has just done a very, very good job. And absolutely no, not that they were, but absolutely no reason to feel defeated or demoralized.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think when it comes to demoralization, I like the fact that you pointed that out. Even some of the top tier teams can sometimes get demoralized after a rough loss, right? So like, when you're at a level where you're playing against any level of good competition and comp DVD, I think really like you have to have a strong mental for it. You're gonna have events where you're either so close, it was due to stages, or maybe some DC happened, or someone made a big mistake that caused the rest of the team. There's so many factors that can go wrong in a comp set, and having a strong mental is like such an important thing that I think so many teams it's very easy to gloss over. You look at the more things on the surface of chase times, of positioning, of gen progress, of and efficiency, and it's really easy to watch so many top level gameplay, even on their comms, and you think, wow, there's just a lot of things that we can improve on as a team. And if you mess up on one of them, it's really easy to tell yourself, oh man, I did terribly. But at the end of the day, competition is competition. It's not the same without if you're stomping everyone or if you're getting stomped. So,
Yeah, definitely. It's at the end of the day, there's always one winner and one loser, but that doesn't mean that anyone is bad by any means. But yeah, once again, Arcadia is going to be taking the win here against Incured on the unknown set, and thus the entire set. It's been a pleasure, always a pleasure to cast with you, Amy. So thank you again for being here with me, and thank you to the match admins and everyone behind the scenes at Ashen Trials for making this such a wonderful group stage that we've had for the past 7 weeks, and it just gets me really pumped for the knockout stage for the next rounds, and I'm super excited to see where the tournament goes.
of course, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself, Emerald. It is always a pleasure casting with you as well. For those in the stream or for those just checking VOD, either way, we will be having at Ashen Trials about a 2-week break between the group stages and the final bracket to give the teams a little bit of breathing room after 7 grueling weeks of events, or I want to say matches. So that is going to be happening, yeah, in about 2 weeks. So stay tuned. And when Ashen Trials is back, you better not miss it. That final stage is about to be really, really lit. All right. Thank you, everyone, once again. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. This was me and Emerald, signing out.
Peace.